more. Tonight he'll be with her, no matter the cost, as the band plays the last cheater's waltz. He tells her he loves her as the music plays on. He tells her he needs her, that someone's at home. The ball game's all over, and she knows.
Founded in 1870, Lake County is the fifth smallest county in Tennessee, located in the northwest corner, bordering Obion and Dyer County, as well as Kentucky and Missouri. The county encompasses 163 square miles, with a 2010 census population of 7,832 people. Roughly 18.6%, or 30.4 square miles, of Lake County are covered by bodies of water, one of which is Reelfoot Lake that was created by the New Madrid earthquakes in 1811 and 1812. Although small, Lake County earned the 94th spot on the list of top 101 counties with the most evangelical denomination adherents. Lake County can be characterized as an agricultural county with a friendly demeanor and small-town feel.
I'm born and raised in Lake County. I started school in 1950 to grammar school. Back then you didn't have preschool and you didn't have kindergarten. So it was a different world than it is today.
I grew up in a time where everybody knew everybody. Neighbors would watch out for other neighbors. My mother worked and we would be at home and she knew we'd be okay because the people down the street would watch. And if we went somewhere and wasn't supposed to, they would tell on us. But it was a good time. Innocence. Everybody knew everybody, trusted. There was no crime. You didn't hear about child abuse or kids being abducted. It was safe. You could play, and it was a good time.
It was fun. It was a small community. You know, everybody knows everybody, and we all played sports together and went to church together. And I think it's a great place to grow up because we got the Mississippi River. The sun rises every morning over Reelfoot Lake and sets every evening over the Mississippi River, so we feel lucky in that respect. And it was a great place to grow up.
It was good. It was better back then than it is now. Back then you had more neighbor and more role models with children now. Today you don't have that kind of role model. When I was coming up, everybody's parents was your parents. Now you cannot do that.
For me, it was because of sports. It was good. You know, I enjoyed growing up in Lake County. Sports gave me opportunity to do things that most people don't get an opportunity to do. So I really enjoyed growing up in Lake County.
It was a very peaceful, relaxed. You never thought about anybody having and shooting, you know, in schools and everything. I walked to school. I lived across from the football field, which my house was. There was an elementary school, the football field, and then my house. We walked home. I stayed home till 6 o'clock. You know, from 3 to 6, I was by myself.
I attended elementary in Margaret Newton Elementary here in Tippinville, which is still here. And then I went to Lake County Middle School and Lake County High School. Graduated in 1969, and then I attended UTM for 2.5 years. I completed my sophomore year and we were on quarters back then as opposed to semesters, and I completed 2 quarters of my junior year.
When I was in the 3rd grade, we moved back to Lake County, and I went to Lincoln. And 3 through 8, I went to Lincoln School, community school. Everybody supported the school. Everybody knew everybody. It was a good time.
Lincoln High School, it was something like a family school. Everybody wants you to get an education. And everybody worked around everybody's kids. Because back then, it's just like it is now. We had kids that didn't have father. It was a one parent's family, but the teachers and the principals and stuff like that played a big role in some of the children's life back then.
All of the teachers at Lincoln we knew. We would sometimes see them in church. You know, they were a part of our community. They were caring and they pushed us. There were some that were slow, some on grade level, and some that worked a little bit above. But they tried to get you to do all that you could do, and they always encouraged us.
I started teaching in 1955 at Morin Elementary School, and out on a kind of like plantation like. And I taught there 8 years, and then I moved from there. I came to Tiptonville, to Lincoln, and I taught at Lincoln about 3 years, and then I moved from the Lincoln to the Lake County High School, and I stayed there until I retired.
I taught at Lincoln when I came to Lake County.
Okay, and how many?
I stayed at Lincoln for 6 years, and then I was moved to Lara Kendall at Ridgely. At that time, it was Lake County Junior High, and I taught there for 2 years, and after 2 years, I moved to Lake County High School, where I finished my teaching career.
Being in the old building, had wooden floors. I remember the smell of oil where they kept the floors, clean and try to keep it up. I remember the lunchroom. It was a new cafeteria, and I remember they had great food. There was Miss Annie Mae and Miss Ida Mae. They could really cook, and we always had good lunches. Toward the latter part of my elementary years, 6th, 7th, 8th, of course, integration was starting. They were phasing out Lincoln, and they worked really hard to get us ready because they knew we were going to go into a different environment. That was our school. It was in our neighborhood. It was the hub of our community. I hated to see it go because I had a lot of good memories of that.
Tiptonville Presbyterian Church. Organized in October 1880 by Reverend J.E. Carn. Charter members R.S. Bradford and 2 daughters, Mr. and Mrs. J.D. Arnett, Mr. and Mrs. A.B. Cook, Mrs. Emma Whitford Alexander, Richard Owen and wife, Nimmy Tipton Owen, daughter of William Tipton, early settler for whom Tiptonville was named. Present building was erected in 1892. Reverend William Thorne, pastor, Richard Owen, builder.
I was raised in the church from a kid. Well, he would clean up till I got grown. My mama did, but my daddy, he just wouldn't go. He did for a while, and he just absolutely wouldn't go. Now, I didn't like to go to church when I first started. My mama just almost had to drag me. But I'm gonna tell you, when I seen that I needed to be saved, what to do, a team of Clydesdales couldn't help me because I knew I had one chance. And if I didn't take that chance, I was going to wind up down there with the devil. I sure want to wind up down there.
Well, Sunday morning thing, we had to go to church. And it was always the focus that Christ should always be first in your life. And that to learn more about Christ, you had to attend Sunday school. You had to be involved. You just didn't go and sit on the front pew. You had to be involved, and of course they had things like Easter programs and Children's Day, and you had speeches, and in that case the church had an involvement in that you spoke well, that you didn't mumble. Whatever you had to do, you had to learn. You didn't read. And everybody was your mama. If you didn't act right in church, and they take you outside and kind of give you a little, little.
When I came to Lake County, I attended Mount Zion Free Will Baptist Church because that's where my grandmother was going, and I attended church with her. And then I just was kind of a community thing. Back then, the churches didn't have church every Sunday, so it was odd Sundays. One church would have first and third, another church would have second and fourth. So on the Sundays that I did not go with my grandmother, we would go to other churches in the county. So I just kind of became a community person, and I attend all of them.
I believe in church. I believe in God. First thing I do every morning when I put my foot on the floor is thank God that I'm alive and for everything that He does for me. But you know, at night when I pillow my head, I'm so thankful that for all his creation, for everything that he does, because without God we're nothing.
I grew up in the Methodist church, Christian Methodist Episcopal Church. Everybody was a small church. You had older people there who would always correct you if you did something wrong. I felt comfortable with my church family. They were very supportive of me. They always had me up in prayer when I went to college, and they were very supportive of me. And I always felt like I had somebody other than my parents. I knew they were in my corner, but I knew that the church was behind them.
In my younger days, church, when I went to church, children always sit in front. You didn't sit behind. Parents and your mothers, they didn't like that. Everybody come to the front because we were taught you fill up the front and whoever late, they sit it behind. But nowadays, you know, we sit anywhere. When we went to church, you had your ushers at the door. They seated you. You didn't tell them where you want to be seated. They seated you. And you stayed there. You didn't run all over the church. You didn't play in church. You didn't chew gum in church. You sat there. I didn't care how big you got, you had an Easter speech. And I tell you what, one year I had an Easter speech and I was big. I said, Mom, I'm too big to say Easter speech. She said, not long you're in my house, you're not. But you know, nowadays kids don't even have Easter speech.
It was my spiritual life that I knew that I wanted to be stronger in the Lord. I feared God, so there I learned that I needed to read my Bible more. And I couldn't be like everybody else. You know, they kind of instilled in you that you can't be like everybody else and be a Christian. You have to be like what the Holy Bible says you need to do, and you need to kind of follow the Word. So, like I say, if you got out of line and you were walking down the street, and so, you know, most time people sat on the porch and they watched you. And they would kind of call you down if you were rowdy. The church was a big involvement in our lives when we were children, because really that was the biggest activity that we had was the community church.
But like I said, when we was coming up, we didn't do all this here that these kids doing. And we was in church Sunday night, Wednesday night, and Wednesday evening. And for you had revival, you went in a shed-in for a whole week to tarry. Now you don't do that anymore. And you didn't put people in position. You was taught. You didn't walk up and get in the choir stand. You was taught. You didn't walk in and get on the usher board. You was taught. You didn't walk in and get on the deacon board. You was taught. Because what? How you going to direct anybody in the church and when you don't even know yourself?
The church community was important to me in that I felt like, or I thought that maybe I could be an example, a role model, or help.
The churches played a big role back then. Big role. Churches, the mothers in the church, the deacon in the church, they played a big role with children. You don't see that anymore. See, back then when I come up, a single parents didn't have a man in the house. The deacon went and by to see this single woman and see what she need done. We don't have that now. Same about the mother. The mother took on the young girls and taught them how to be ladies. Also, the deacon men taught the boys how to be men.
My sisters and my parents were both lifelong church members, and as I went away to college and worked on the river, I kind of got out of it, and I'm not an active church member now at all. Well, my two living sisters are very much active in the church. You know, they attend every week, and they are. So, but I've kind of strayed away. I tell everybody I'm a backsliding Methodist. So that'd be a pretty fair answer, I guess.
Reelfoot Lake. In 1811 and 1812, the greatest earthquakes in North American history enlarged existing bodies of water, blocked inflowing streams, and extended the boundaries of a cypress swamp to form Reelfoot Lake, a haven for fish and wildlife, which attracted Davy Crockett and other hunters. Originally about 40,000 acres, siltation has shrunk the lake about 14,000 acres. Conservation efforts seek to preserve the lake and protect its wildlife, which includes the American bald eagle. This area remained the hunting ground for the Chickasaws until 1818. Use of the lake was held to be a common right. Thus, when an organization achieved legal control over the lake in the early 20th century, some area residents organized as night riders to resist the loss of their fishing rights. Their efforts caused public attention to focus on problems and potential of Reelfoot, and the state acquired ownership in 1914.
Reelfoot Lake has always been a winter home for bald eagles. It's on the Mississippi River Flyway, which is basically how the birds migrate up and down the middle part of the country. So Reelfoot is home to lots of eagles, always has been, and the park offers tours to go out, to take people out to see the eagles, and then we also have injured non-releasable eagles that we use for environmental education, where we actually handle them and let people get up close and see and learn about them. The Bird of Prey program, where we have the non-releasable birds of prey, eagles, hawks, and owls, that we utilize those creatures to let people really see and learn about the animals, the lake, the history. We have reptiles, snakes and turtles that we also use for environmental education. We do canoe trips, we do pontoon boat trips, we do eagle tours to take people out to see the eagles depending on time of year. So over the entire year, the park here is doing some type of educational, fun activity. You know, it's not education like sitting in a classroom. It's education by actually being out and doing stuff and seeing it and learning it hands-on. That's our goal in state parks, is to actually have people involved in doing, not just sitting and listening. July and August are the two slowest months because it gets hot and humid. But Reelfoot has visitation throughout the year. The winter, when a lot of parks are slow, Reelfoot is actually very busy because of the eagles and also the ducks and geese. We have over 300,000 ducks and geese that spend the winter here besides the eagles. It's known as a fishing lake. This is one of the best fishing lakes in this part of the country. It's very shallow because of the way it was formed by the earthquakes. It is literally full of fish. It's also known for its bird watching. People come here not only to see the eagles, ducks and geese, but all just the smaller migratory birds, the water birds, the herons, egrets, the warblers. It's a great canoeing and kayaking lake. We have a lot of that, and it's a great photography lake. We have a lot of photographers that come here to photograph the birds and then the natural beauty. There is a really neat legend. As far as we know, it has nothing to do with reality. It's just a legend. We have, as a historian, we have never found a Chief Reelfoot or a Princess Laughing Eyes mentioned in the historical documents. But basically the legend is, this is going to be a shortened version, is the Choctaws who lived in this area, the chief had a son that had a crippled foot, so he reeled when he walked. Hence he was called Reelfoot. And as he grew to manhood, he could not find a maiden that he wanted to marry in his own tribe. So he started traveling with a group of other braves looking for a suitable wife. They traveled down into the Chickasaw country, which is North Georgia, and was visiting a tribe, and he met and fell in love with a Chickasaw maiden called Princess Laughing Eyes. Well, her father did not want his beautiful daughter to have anything to do with a club-footed Choctaw. So he drove Reelfoot from the village, but Reelfoot was a young man in love, so he decided to go back and kidnap Laughing Eyes. So him and his braves went back, kidnapped Laughing Eyes, brought her back to his own village for the wedding ceremony. The gods looked down, became angry on what Reelfoot had done, and destroyed him and his entire tribe by stomping their feet, which would correspond to the earthquakes. The truth about the earthquake started on December 16 of 1811 with an 8-point plus earthquake. Earthquakes continued through mid-March of 1812 with almost 2,000 individual quakes in that 4 months. 5 of those quakes were above 8 on the Richter scale. A large section of land sank and filled with water, which is where we now see the main lake. Another area rose, called an uplift, that acted as a dam to back the water up. You have all sorts of written accounts on the land changing, on the fumes and vapors shooting up out of the earth, so it's totally dark at midday, crevices appearing in the earth, the Mississippi River running backwards for a short period of time. Extremely large violent earthquakes formed the lake.
General Cates, 1st Marine Division on Guadalcanal during World War II. As a brigadier, General Cates commanded the 4th Marine Division during the conquest of Tinian and Iowa Jimma in 1944. Cates was the first Tennessean to achieve the rank of full general. From 1948 to 1952, General Cates served as the 19th Commandant of the Marine Corps. Wounded 7 times, General Cates received many American and foreign medals. A member of the U.S. Marine Corps for 37 years, General Cates' military service extended to the Korean War. He died in 1970 and is buried in Arlington National Cemetery.
Yeah, well, they're building a river port up yonder at Cates Landing, and they've got that road paved all the way up there, and for years, as long as I can remember, the lights would just stop and go. You know, just pull up there and go on. But since they've done this right here, they're figuring on a lot of traffic going through up there, going to the port. And they figure if the traffic's going to get so thick, they're going to have a stop and go light, so a working red light. But that's the first red light, a workable one, you know, it's ever been here.
That's the first one in the city. Quite a change. But you'll notice the reason for that is there's a highway that goes from that point to the new port, the Port of Cates Landing. And that highway that goes from there to the Port of Cates Landing is a $21 million project. And it was mostly secured by U.S. Congressman back then, John Tanner. So it's when they get it completed, it will be a super 2-lane highway.
We're very blessed with our geography here in Lake County. We have a unique position up on the river with the bend and the way the geography lays out. We have an area that other places would give anything to have. And we're fortunate that the property around it is empty, so there's a lot of room for expansion. We've had some very forward-thinking people over the years to recognize that possibility there, pursued it, and you've got enough folks in the business world and now the political world who've all come together at the right time. And the thing about a project like that, a small town like Tiptonville or Lake County can't do it by themselves. You've got to have regional appeal. We've got Dyer County, Obion County, Lake County. You have the state senators, state representatives, U.S. senators, U.S. representatives, the governors, the senators. You've got so many organizations that have come together on this. It has the potential to change all of the Northwest Tennessee area. Of course, the port project itself now is completed, and they've now hired a port operator who has contacts out, who their job is to actually get the word out there, hey, we have a great facility in Lake County, Tennessee. You need to come look at it.
We're working on a prospect now, the first one, and it's a big project for us, and it's agricultural. And I can't tell you what, but it's agricultural, which, see, where the port is located, the next place up above us is Cairo, Illinois, and Cairo is where the Mississippi and the Ohio come together. So things can be shipped up through the Ohio or the Mississippi River, either one. So it's strategically located to the advantage of everyone.
Mm-hmm. And I think we just have an unlimited potential. One of the things that is so good about it is there's so much room for growth, and we're willing to go in any kind of direction. I mean, anything that would provide jobs is great. I mean, we could go in any type of manufacturing, not just agricultural, but heavy manufacturing. There's so many options with the rail spurs, with the highway, as y'all saw coming in. The railroad work is being done. The paving is being done. They're expanding the highway. I think the state and federal government would not expend this much money if they did not feel this was a tremendously valuable project.
I'm going to tell you something else that was unique to me about the port. Within 150 miles of this port, it touches 7 states. That's very unique. When we did a survey, and we're still doing surveys, but 150 mile radius is what most, 150 mile radius, you can touch about 50% of the United States. Wow. So it's just, the federal government has invested so much money, the state government's invested so much money, and the local government has. With the port and the highway, we have about $51 million invested in this port and highway. And the highway just was built for the port too.
And the good thing about it, hopefully if it's mostly manufacturing jobs, it should be well-paying jobs that people would want to stay here for. And that's the thing that every little town out there, I think, wants, is they want the opportunity for their kids to have a reason to stay here where they are. And if this will come, I feel if we can get at least one project started, then hopefully that'll grow to 2 or grow to 3. And like my children, I would like for my children to both come back to this area. And if you have a port situation, you've got an opportunity that, hey, well, I don't have to go to Dyersburg or Jackson or Memphis to get a job. There's lots of quality people that come from Lake County High School who would make great employees and would love to stay here, and I think we need to do everything we can to keep them here.
The port in itself does not provide a whole lot of jobs, because a port just unloads and offloads off of barges. So it's limited. You'll have operators, you'll have people, but I mean, if you get up to work in the port, if you get up to working 25, 30, 40 people, it will probably be a big thing. But that's not the idea. The idea is the port brings industry, because industry wants to come where they can use the port. And this port is a slackwater port. First thing, it's built above the 500-year floodplain. Okay, you know what that is? Lake County is protected. We got 21 miles or 22 miles of levee system. The Mississippi River is only 2 miles from where we're sitting. Okay, so we got a levee that protects the whole county. The port is built higher than that levee. So even in the Great Flood of 2011, this port would still have been out of water. And we have a 350-acre industrial park that is just across the road from the port. And it's above the 100-year floodplain, which is very, very unique. This port is what we call a slackwater port. The slackwater, I mean, it's a 9,000 foot port. In other words, it's like the channel of the river goes straight down toward Memphis. Okay, this is just like an artery that comes off up to the port. Okay, boats that have tows and they want to unload something there, they can cut one loose and then bring it up in there and unload it or load it. And that's what a port is for. And then another big thing, we have a designation of being a free trade zone, or foreign trade zone rather. What a foreign trade zone does, lets industry import things from the Far East and everything, or South America, without paying the tariff fee. If they were to come into some of the other places, they would have to pay a tariff. So this is an incentive for them to use our port.
Capture of Island 10. Covered by federal gunboats, Major General John Pope landed part of his army of 25,000 on the west shore of Madrid Bend, outflanking Confederate defenses, causing abandonment of the island. Brigadier General W.W. McCall, retreating south, finding himself cut off by gunboats and high water, surrendered the remnant of the Confederate force on the northern outskirts of Tiptonville.
Yeah, the battle with at Island number 10, they was probably involved in this. And then there's a place, well, it's in Tennessee, Winchester Chute, where I don't know whether the guy was an admiral or not, but his name was Andrew Foote. He was in charge of a bunch of big gunboats. But the Southern soldiers up there, the rebels. Them guys were starving to death. They couldn't get nothing to eat. They was dying from dysentery and malaria. And then, of course, when Foote, wherever he come from, when he come down with his big flotilla, well, them guys give up. I mean, it wasn't use them trying to fight them old big cannons, because the rebels up there, they had small arms and a few batteries, so it was useless. They just give up.
We're the Night Riders in 1908, when this vigilante group, there's a large landowner here, he was going to drain the lake and farm it. And so there was a group of people around the lake that made their living off the lake, and kind of roughshod people, and they put together this vigilante group, ended up with some murders and things, and the state, I think they called it the state militia in 1908 as opposed to the National Guard, but they came in. That was a big deal at that time, and it had residual effects that lasted for decades here.
About 1 1/4 mile northeast, now underwater, a redoubt housed mainland defense headquarters for Island No. 10. It was flanked by batteries 2, 3, 4, and 5 commanding the river. Successfully withstanding bombardment for 2 weeks, these and the island batteries interdicted the river until USS Carondelet and Pittsburgh slipped past during darkness to cover Pope's Crossing from New Madrid.
I can stand in my backyard or front yard. I can look every morning when I get up, and I can see the sun come up over Reelfoot Lake, one of the most beautiful places in the world. A lake that was created by an earthquake, naturally created. But that afternoon, I can look and I can see the sun go down over the Mississippi River. No other place in the world that can boast and say things like this.
If you compare Lake County to a lot of other counties across the state, small rural counties, having a large lake with all the attractions and natural things and the people that brings in is just a huge asset.
Some of our biggest assets is we've got some good, hard-working people. They're very dedicated to their jobs. They enjoy living in the small towns. I think that's one of our biggest assets, and they don't mind working hard. Mm-hmm. We've got people who would do about anything that you need, and they help people. That's their thing. They will help you. If you need something, they're there. We've got friendships that's just as strong as can be.
I think first and foremost it's people. I think it's location, sitting right here between the Mississippi River and Reelfoot Lake.
I'd like to mention Mr. Richardson. I don't know if anybody has talked about Mr. Taylor Richardson. He gives out scholarships.
Oh, okay.
They have to go to the University of Memphis. Mm-hmm. But if you keep a certain grade level,
GPA, then you
GPA, yes, a certain grade level, he will send you all 4 years.
Wow, that's awesome.
And sometimes he sent them to law school.
Wow, so he's a great asset to the community as well.
He was from this community, mm-hmm. and he was very low poverty, and he made something of himself, so he tries to give back to the community. Now we also, and my mind is just gone completely blank, it's the manager for the New York
Jerry Reese.
Yeah, Jerry Reese. He comes back every year with him and another man. Mm-hmm. I can't remember exactly what his name is, Jeremy something. They come back every year to the school and hand out notebooks and tablets and just all kinds of stuff to help the kids get started there.
By being small, you can be up close. Let's take the school system. We have a small school. I think a little over 200 students, maybe 250. Each class is small. You could be as up close and personal with your instructors as you want, but it's all in what you want. I would love to see the young people here, once again, I don't want to sound like a broken record, stop complaining about what's not here and take advantage of what's here so they could be successful.
I think our educational system is one of the great assets.
I think our small school system is an asset. I think we have classes that are very reasonable in size. It's an opportunity for teachers and students to form a relationship, and this relationship can extend outside of the class. You know, when you go to the grocery store and you see your teacher and they ask you how you doing and all that, that lets a student know that that teacher cares about me as a person. I think our school system is an asset. I think the community spirit, I think we have a good community. It's small. We've got a lot of people, maybe not college educated, but I think that they want more for the community and their children.
one great asset, I guess, because we have a school system. And like I say, the prison.
The institution up here has 22 to 2,300 inmates. They employ about 620 people. Okay, of that 620 people, 43% of those are from Lake County. The others drive in from other counties. Actually, a few from Kentucky and places like that. We have one or two from Shelby County that work at the prison. But their base is real good. They do a lot of community work, and not only does it, I think when these people are in the institution, them to get out, them to work, know that they're helping the locality where they are helping people. They go out and work for the cities, the towns, the churches, things like this. They know they're giving back, and I think it's very good for the inmates also.
The sheriff is very gracious to allow the gentleman to come out and work for us here. We're also fortunate with the state prison, which is in the city limits at the northern part of town. They have a program there where they have men who have skills in carpentry, painting, and different projects, and they come out with they have a crew that has done a lot of public service work. They've worked at churches, they've redone the movie theater downtown, and that's great for us because they're able to do civic work. You get things done which is less cost for the people here, and then also it helps the guys who are incarcerated because it gives them something to do, helps them to develop their skills, and when they get out, they're marketable right then. They've got the ability to get a job and get their life on track, and I think it's been a good program for us. It's been very good for Lake County. They've rebuilt churches, as I said, the movie theater. They've really done a good job for Lake County.
Confederate burials. In this cemetery, following the siege and capture of Madrid Bend and Island Number 10, about 75 Confederate dead were interred. Others were buried on the island itself. Channel changes have now joined the island to Missouri.
It has changed that we've come from chopping cotton and picking cotton, and we have the only job thing we have is the prison. We haven't changed all that much.
The farmers were, before they had cotton pickers and everything, it'd take 150 people to farm X amount of acres, 2,000 acres. Now they can do it with 3 or 4 guys and this giant equipment. So people started leaving. There wasn't anything for the kids to do. And they just both black and white, they just were gone. And in 1980, our downtown, you probably walked down through there, every business was open. I mean, we had clothes and shops and drug stores and grocery stores and shoe shops, and the picture show was open and all that. I mean, just people left, and our little towns just kind of withered. The biggest change since I've been here is when they opened the state prison here around 1980, 79 or 80. And virtually every family in Lake County has somebody who either works at that prison or is kin to somebody working at that prison. It's universal. It employs about maybe 1,000 people. Of course, Lake County doesn't have a workforce like that at all, but everybody in Lake County either has some immediate family works there, or a friend or relative that works there.
In a sense, it has changed, but also in a sense, there's not as many places to go because we don't have a lot of businesses and entertainment and that kind of thing.
Yeah, there was a whole lot more people, and there was a whole lot more businesses. Of course, everybody worked on the farm, and of course, I never seen it, but I've heard about it. On Saturdays, the streets would be so crowded, people would have to kind of turn sideways to get past because they were buying up their groceries, but there was a whole lot of buildings here that ain't here now.
I would love to see the community and everybody get behind the youth. Stop talking about the negative thing and push in a positive way.
I'd like to see more jobs. I would like to see more African Americans in positions, and like in, for instance, the bank and the courthouse. And
we need more industry. We need something to pump up our economy. When our young people graduate, they have to leave because unless you want to work at the prison, There's nowhere else to work in the county. So we need something to keep our young people here, to give them an option.
They've built a riverport up here, and they're working every day to try to get an industry associated with it that would bring 300 or 400, top-paying jobs. That would be a godsend for Lake County. There was a study released last year. Lake County was the 11th poorest county in the nation, and that was kind of sobering. But yeah, we need some more jobs here.
Lake County have changed a little, not that much. And how you can change, you got to have a vision. And you got to have a dream. If you don't have a vision and a dream, you will do what? You will die. And that's what happened in Lake County. Everybody have left Lake County. Lake County used to be full of people. Lake County used to be popular. Lake County used to have jobs. But you can't find a job here now. People would like to work. People working now, it's got to go 25, 30 miles to get a job. It's sad to say, but I've seen the time that they had factories here, but they don't have sewing factories anymore. I've seen the time that you could make a living on the farm doing farm work. They don't have that anymore because your farm work now, the equipment they make it now, you ain't got to have a man to do it. You ain't got to have a man to drive a tractor. They fixing with tractor drive by themselves. You standing down on the end working it. So Lake County have, just went down, and you got to have people in your town and in the system that have a vision and a dream that we want this to be a better town to live in. And that comes through your mayor, your alderman. They ought to be to bring something in here to make people to be proud of Lake County. I'm proud of Lake County. We don't have that much, but what little we do have, I'm proud of it. But we could have more.
My goal is that Tiptonville would be one of those places that other people would look at and say, hey, you know what, instead of everybody leaving there, they may have something that we want to go to. That's a location to think about instead of a location to get away from. Mm-hmm. And our vision, of course, is to make it to where people, and I think we're very comfortable with that right now. We have people from all ends of the spectrum, from the racial lines, from the economic lines, who have great relationships. Nothing is perfect in the world, but I think we have good relationships, and everybody, I think, by and large, tries to appreciate everyone else, and we want everybody to have an opportunity. It doesn't matter who you are. If I can get a job, then you could get a job, and he could get a job, and she could get a job. Right. And we just want it to where it doesn't matter who you are, there's something out there for you. We're glad you're here.
Well, the new vision, and these are things that just not happen, just over time. Like we've been working and making a request for information to this company. We've been working on it a couple of weeks, and still supplying them information. They're supplying us information. Not in every industry that wants to come do you want in your locality. There might be some dangers. There might be some concerns, and you got to weigh what is best for your community, what's best in the matter of jobs. It's just a whole lot of things to consider when you're looking for industry.
City Hall Memorial Building, dedicated to the Tiptonville, Tennessee Veterans of Wars, erected 1958. City officials: Fred Robertson, Mayor; Willard Hearn, Alan McKeel, Bill Roberts, Raleigh Ashley, Wayne Stewart, Billy Donnell, Lucille Leduc, Mary Lou Marvin, James H. Smith, City Attorney.
I would tell the youth in Lake County that, number one, get your education. Mm-hmm. Stay in school. Find somebody that you admire and go talk to them. try to pick their brain and see what makes them work. And it doesn't matter who they are, man, woman, old or young. But somebody that they admire for whatever reason, could be their job, their church, their civic work, the athletic ability, whatever it is, something about that person that they like, and just go say, hey, talk to me. I want to stay here. I want to be a success. I like what you've done. How did you get where you are?
Stay in school.
Stay in school.
Go to college. I spoke once at the high school and talked to them about, pharmacy school and what all it is to get in.
First of all, I would tell them to take advantage of the opportunities they have, like with the free education. A lot of young people here talk about the school system. Well, the school system is what you make it. When you sit in the classroom, it's not mother, father, it's the teacher, but it's also you. My thing is, I use this a lot, and it's a phrase that we've been hearing for a long time. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. And the one thing that the youth have here, they have opportunity to get a free education. That education is what's going to take you. We know God is first, but you're going to need the education to survive out here in the world.
For the community of Lake County, I think one of the biggest things that's come to pass in the last year in the state of Tennessee is the governor's, Tennessee Promise. You know what Tennessee Promise is? Tennessee Promise is every senior that graduates starting this next year can go to a junior college or a technology school without paying a dime. Everyone. And now, you always think about something that there has to be a catch to it. Well, you got to have, if you go to a junior college, you got to keep a 2-point average, but if they need to keep a 2-point. If they don't keep a 2-point, but they can, if not that, they can go to a technology school.
I would say to the youth today that to be focused and to be your own person. I would say to them that it's so important to know how to meet people and how to converse with people and to be involved in what's going on.
Be honest.
I would say to this generation coming now, get closer to God, be obedient, and appreciate what you have, and make sure that you have a good attitude. You can be the nicest looking person in the world, have all the money, but if you got a nasty attitude, it will not get you nowhere.
Oh, one word. I can't describe Lake County in one word.
Home.
Home. And why?
Wouldn't want to live anywhere else. I like the people. People have been good to me, and I've enjoyed my life in Lake County. So I'd say that.
Oh, that's hard. If you could describe Reelfoot Lake, it's definitely a naturalist paradise. If you enjoy nature, whether it's hunting, fishing, photography, canoeing, kayaking, bird watching, if you enjoy getting outdoors and doing outdoor related stuff, this area is just has a tremendous diversity to offer.
I would say it is growing, I guess. And I would say that because I'm hoping that the generations that are coming on and the young people that are coming after us are more aggressive and want more for themselves, and that maybe in some way they can look at role models, or maybe in some way we have been kind of role models that have encouraged them to realize that they want to, move up. and that they want to come back to Lake County. And hopefully someday they will, because right now everybody just wants to get away. And hopefully we can have industries and things to come in and that will draw people back and that will make them want to come back to Lake County.
I think it would be cohesive.
Compassionate, because it doesn't matter if you're rich or if you don't have any money. Everybody wants to help everybody.
We need vision. Is that what you mean? Vision that will entail all people and set directions for a better outlook of a county, and not just accept things the way they are.
If I could describe Lake County in one word, what it would be? Lake County in one word, what it would be?
It's a hard question, I know.
It is, because it's so many things. I think Lake County is underdeveloped.
Underdeveloped.
Mm-hmm.
Can you expand a little bit on that?
I think that there are opportunities that haven't been taken advantage of, whether it's the kids, they don't take advantage of what they can do. Also with the community, the Chamber of Commerce and businesses, I think there's a lot of potential here to build, and I just don't think that everyone has tapped into what all they can do. And that's from kids in kindergarten to the grandparents. People don't always take advantage of their opportunities.
Talented, because it's a lot of talent here, not just in sports. You have young people here that can sing, you have young people that's artistic, it's a lot here. We just have to water it. You know, my grandmother told one of my uncles this. He was upset because he felt that she was spending more time with one child more than she was the other one. She just looked at him and told him, she said, some flowers need more watering than others. So we just need to water these flowers so the young people will grow and go.
I'd have to say that's beautiful because of things that I've said about the lake, the river. I love to hunt, I love to fish, and to me, we see the crops that are growing, the green, we can see trees. Other states you can go and you can drive without seeing trees, without seeing the grass, and we're blessed. We're just blessed.
In one word, Lake County need to go on a move. We need to start moving. We have staggered. We are going to be on the move. We got this river port is coming through, and people is going to come back to Lake County. But Lake County is going to have to do something for themselves. And Lake County is going to have to be able to accommodate the people that's going to move in.
It's a good place to live. It's a good place to live because might near everybody knows everybody. And it's people that's moved here that's never lived here. Once they're here a while, they like it. I mean, it's just a small community, but it's just a good place to live.